This is a little tutorial on how to actually do Kanban for visually managing the process materials that we have. Again, Kanban itself means visual management. We use it to manage the process itself. But of course, a big thing is that we want to manage the process materials to make sure they're in place so our process can continue to work in flow fashion, in a stream fashion, a value stream fashion. So Kanban means, as we said, visual signal. Kanban is mostly used to manage the materials throughout our process by showing clearly what is needed, whether it's work in process or the materials that need to be brought to the process so that we can continue working. So Kanban helps us to see what we have and what we need. It is the right parts at the right place and the right quantity. So Kanbans are like traffic signals or railroad crossing signals for our processes. And it's implemented in many different ways. As an example here, it's when the flag is down. This is a signal to the material people to bring more items, more supplies that we can keep our process flowing. Here's a setup as a sort of a supermarket style. All I have to do is glance up at the shelves that are clearly labeled and with addresses for everything in them, and I can see if material's there or not, or the material handler can quickly see if something needs to be replenished. Here's an interesting implementation where we have marked on the wall a level, and we have material stacked in two very clear locations. When one stack goes down, it's kind of an alert that we need to be on the watch, but we do not replenish until the second stack gets to the replenishment mark. That still gives us some material to work with so that the material handler can resupply the other stack. And so we call this a double bin Kanban, and so that means that we can visually see the status of our materials at all times and see almost in an alert fashion when we need to be thinking about resupplying. But just so we don't lose track, the Kanban itself can actually tell us when we need to make something. This is the whole idea of move one, make one, move one in our process flow. So the visual space, either occupied or empty, shows us we either need to stop working on replenishment or we need to make something to replenish. We also use Kanban for scheduling type boards or for display boards or status boards in this particular case. And so the bottom line thinking is an empty Kanban signals a need for replenishment by either making something or ordering something to fill a spot. Okay, so let's just quickly review Kanban for making things. The lean strives for one-piece flow. That is, we say move one, make one, move one, that idea. The absence of a product in the next step, the downstream, is a signal for the upstream operator to make and replenish the missing item. So this gets us to one-piece flow and eliminates downtime waste. That is the batch handling waste, the defects and mistakes type waste. Say, well, how does that work? Well, because you find a mistake immediately in the next step, and you can fix it rather than to keep making a whole batch of these errors that have to be reworked in a very expensive fashion. And of course, we deliver more product more immediately and continuously. That's the power of one-piece flow. So the Kanban is our signal for making and managing materials. So once again, it means that we are going to have the right parts at the right place and in the right quantities. And so this, again, is a quick review of what we covered earlier, but it's showing very quickly that we have a flag system in this case that shows us when the flag is down, we need to replenish materials. There are all kinds of ways to do this. Whatever visual signal we can invent at a glance would tell everybody we need materials or not. So let's review how we do this with sort of a stock card, a whole shelf full of material with stock cards. Our process item is stocked on the shelf and ready for use. As an item is used, a Kanban card has been set in place on the shelf. The person seeing the green Kanban card takes the card according to the instructions from the materials manager for reordering. In other words, when we come to that place on the shelf where the card is posted, it's been predetermined that this is the point that gives us a comfort on the reorder replenishment cycle. The date and the person are noted on the green card and the yellow card that stays in position at that mark point. This shows everyone that the reorder card has gone forward for ordering, and they kind of as a safety, if there's a red card being seen, which is the base card in that stack, then something's wrong. And we'll illustrate this in just a minute in a little more detail, but I want to cover the steps because this is rigorous. You have to do this with discipline. As the stock continues to deplete, even with the yellow card in view, we can see when it's due in. If that due in date comes by and we don't have the replenishment, then we're starting to get concerned. We need to track things down. Something's off, and we need to fix it. Or if we see that red card, we need to do the same thing. So let's illustrate this a little bit better. So the card is in place at the materials replenishment point. When all the material ahead of the card is used, the card is pulled and given to the materials manager. Just a little more detail on the card. The envelope pulling card, initials and dates right here. The green card is given to materials manager. And when supply gets too low, risk of outages kind of in view, we check with the material manager on the due in. And here's in red. If there's a red card showing, there's a problem. It must be corrected immediately. That's as simple as it is, but yet this discipline needs to be absolute and hard and fast for things to work.